Alright guys, for all you third gen Camaro lovers, here's one for you. Had a problem with the right hand turn signal. Changed out the flasher on it and still didn't work. So I went ahead and looked around, looked in the back, tried to look at grounds, couldn't find anything. So looked in the manual book and noticed that there's another relay which is near the brain. And if anybody knows anything about the car, there's a brain on the right passenger side. You should see if I can get you a good picture here. Down by the right speaker, as you can see, I'm going to point to where it's at. Down in here, there is actually a brain. Now, if we go underneath, I pulled down my brain and took off the cover. And as you can see, let me spin these around. And mind you, you got three connectors. You got one on here, one in the middle, and one to the right, as well as two more connectors that get connected to the other portion, because there's two portions of this brain. Now in this case here, we're looking just solely at the flashers, and I'll put another picture up in regards to how the whole module looks put together. Now this one's torn apart for reference purposes, so you have an idea. Now if you look at this, this is a circuit board, and as you can tell, I'm going to try to point and hold the camera at the same time. As you can see, we have all these different relays that are right here. The one in particular that we were having problems with was the right flasher, this one right here. At this point, we went ahead and replaced it with a newer style. It looks like it's a little bit taller. I'll find out whether the cover fits on it in a few minutes. But once we replaced this, everything came back to life. We got the flashers on both right, left side. We did the blinkers, left, right side, and we also did the hazards. And everything came on nice and easy. Now, the problem that I noticed that when we first started out is that the left side was only happening, which I believe is, I might be mistaken, this might be the left blinker. And it was working fine, but the way we figured out that was the problem is I started flicking on the housing, and magically my right blinker would start. So that's an indication that it may have been a relay. So that's why I pulled everything apart, pulled that puppy out right there, stuck it in, and everything came back to life. And as you can see, we got a courtesy lamp, right turn, left turn, flasher select, also parking tail lamps, headlamps, and beam. What each one of those are relays. Most cases, these older type vehicles, the relays tend to go bad, but I couldn't find anything on the internet in regards to where I could find this box of what it looked like or anything. So hopefully this might help you guys out. Okay guys, in order to replace what I see here, you need to go ahead and flip it upside down or to the side. And in this case, I've already taken out a screw there, turn it to the other side. This is where all the connectors are. A screw here and a screw here. That will go ahead and loosen everything up. But you also need to take out, which I didn't do correctly, is this screw here. Now, once everything's done, it should just pop right off. As you can see, this is a circuit board. We got the connections that are up top. And here are the corresponding locations for each of the relays. So for each one of these, as you can see right here, you got your courtesy lamp, turn, left turn, flashers, and so forth. It will correspond to each individual relay. Now, if you're having a problem, in this case, we had the problem with our right turn signal. You want to go ahead and pull him out. When you do this, it's a little bit difficult because you're afraid you might break the board, so be very careful. I'll demonstrate on how to go about pulling this thing out. Okay, in this case here, what you want to do is you want to hold one of the relays as close as possible, like I am with my thumb. With your right hand, you want to try and push it the relay down like on this side here, and then as you go, wiggle back and forth and pull it straight out. This is what it looks like. That's how the connector looks like. Once you get your new one, you go ahead and get your new relay. Make sure they're all in the same location. Slide it in, push it straight forward, make sure that it seats all the way down, and now you got your new relay in. At this point, you're going to go ahead and reassemble everything back together, and I'll show you that once I put everything together. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reassemble our flashing, all of our relays here that we had near our brain. Flip everything upside down. Make sure your connections are correct to the locations that they're supposed to go to. And then you slide this back in. Try to align them as close as possible. And then you get your driver. In this case, I'm using a regular type driver. I don't have my little extensions in there, but this works. Whatever works. You go ahead and put them in. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and put the flashing portion of the relays, which is this box here, onto the brain. So the way that is put on is that if you look at your connectors here, as you can see all these here, you will also see connectors on this side. So what you want to do is you want to push these down into place, slide it, and then tighten these down. And if you have the right tools, it'd be better, but if you got nothing but, like I have, channel locks, just give it a little bit of a snug. Not too much, because of course these vehicles are old and the plastics tend to get brittle. And just give a little bit of a tug, make sure they don't get loose anymore. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and put the box back in, or I should say the brain, the ECM or ECU, whatever you want to call it. It's a brain. One of the things you got to make sure, though, is that when you do put on your connectors, or even when you take them off when you first do it, check all your wiring. In this case here, you see all these spaghetti wires here. I did find a problem with one of them. I don't know if you can see. A couple of these wires are looking really bad. So I'm going to have to get this replaced and fixed and so forth. But I'm going to just demonstrate on how to go about putting your brain back up. In this case here, we want to make sure the box is located this way. Slide in your first connector, your second connector, and third connector. Now when you do that, you're going to hear a lot of clicking, and that's because you have your battery connected. And in most cases, you want to just go ahead and disconnect your battery, but I'm too damn lazy to do that. And it helps me out to let me know that we do got electricity going through. So in this case here, you want to go ahead and put your brain back up, which is, this is the hardest part. Because you got to watch out for your connectors popping back out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and try to attempt to put the computer back underneath the dashboard. In this case here, the only way I could figure out that's probably the simplest is put this connector on first, as you can see. And trying to figure out which one. I believe it's this one right here. Put that one in first. Slide him in. A lot of these wires are going to be all bunched up and everything, so you got to be very careful on how they're going in. Next one, slide him in. Try to finagle them all the way in. If that one doesn't go, you might have to play around with the wiring. Right there. And as you can tell, I have this one on the wrong side. I had it on the right side the correct way. Slide him back in. As you can tell, the lights came on. That's your power wire. Slide him all the way up. And then you get these, and those connect on the bottom down there. Once that's done, you just put your screws back in, and you're all set. But for those that are trying to find that module for your blinkers, right blinkers, lamps, courtesy lamps, relays, and all that, or if you're trying to replace something that deals with a relay, it's usually probably in this brain. So that concludes this trial for trying to replace your blinkers.